Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm Sean Voskuhl, State Director for AARP Oklahoma, and I'm so glad you could join us today. We've got a very important conversation about the AARP Tax-Aide services, and that's an outstanding service that AARP provides to our foundation, and it's all volunteer ran. The AARP Foundation's Tax-Aide program is the largest free volunteer-based tax assistance program in the United States. And this morning, we're joined by Johanna Graham. She's our AARP Oklahoma Tax-Aide State Coordinator, who will share with us some of the changes for this year in 2021. And we also have a top 10 great list of questions that Johanna is going to go through those this morning. So Johanna, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Sean. Good to see you this morning.
You bet. Glad I'm in the Edmond area, you're in Tulsa area, so we're able to connect virtually, and this is going to work out just fine. And just let folks know, we will take questions. If you want to put a note in the chat, we'll be happy to get to those as well. So Johanna, talk to us a little bit about folks who may not be aware of the Tax-Aide program and how that a person who needs assistance and the tax preparation. So talk to us a little bit about what Tax-Aide does, who are people who are unfamiliar with this program.
Well, Sean, it is a tremendous program, and it's totally free tax preparation for people aged 50 or older and those of moderate and low income. But it's free and open to anyone. You don't have to be a member of AARP. We won't try to sell you any AARP services. Our volunteers are trained every year, and they are IRS certified each year.
That's amazing. And you know, how many volunteers do we have this year?
Well, we typically have about 300 across the state and about 29 sites. Due to the pandemic, those numbers are a little decreased this year. But that's our typical year.
Well, you help thousands of Oklahoma every year, and we really appreciate it. And our phones have been, ringing off the wall, or let me just say our virtual phones have, with people asking questions. So while last year we had to cut it short, this year we're doing it in limited fashion. So Johanna, thank you and your volunteers for doing that. Let's talk a little bit about how the pandemic has impacted how you and your volunteers deliver tax services in Oklahoma. Can you share a little bit with us how that has changed for 2021?
Absolutely. As you can well imagine, with Oklahoma in the epidemic stage for the pandemic, our traditional in-person methods of service are not allowed. So for the safety of our clients and our volunteers, we now offer a low contact method, which involves interaction between the taxpayer and a volunteer in a couple of 1 or 2 short meetings to exchange documents and information. We also, and those of course to reduce the possibility of crowding, are by appointment only. We also offer a contact-free method where the taxpayer and volunteer either react in either by phone or totally online to exchange documents electronically. And we also offer a self-preparation method where we provide the taxpayers with access to free tax filing software so they can prepare their own taxes. They can request assistance from a Tax-Aide volunteer via a process of computer screen sharing. Now, this is a new offering for Tax-Aide this year, but it will continue to be an option going forward.
Yeah, great. Thank you for outlining all those different opportunities for folks who maybe are unsure how it works or who may have concerns about one-on-one contact. That's really helpful. So we've talked about the Tax-Aide service. So let's talk about, how long will this service be available for folks to use?
Well, typically the Tax-Aide season typically mirrors the IRS season, which this year started February 12th and was scheduled to end April 15th. But as we heard yesterday in Oklahoma, that's changed. So there'll be some changes for the sites in Oklahoma as well. It'll just depend on which sites will allow us to stay open and if we have volunteers that man those sites.
And for folks who haven't heard yet, because of the emergency declaration for Oklahoma yesterday, late last night saw some notes about how the tax filing extension has been moved to June 15th. So that may help folks who are this short time frame on the taxes, and hopefully that'll be good information for you all to move forward with. So thank you, Johanna. Let's talk about, so if I'm from Enid, how do I find out where Tax-Aide locations are or services in my area?
Word of mouth is a great way, but the best way is to visit taxaide.aarpfoundation.org or call the 800 number 888-227-7669, and that'll give you the location of the services near you.
Great. And I think folks who are watching and listening will drop that information and try to repeat the phone number and website for you to visit as well. So that's the best place. So, if I'm calling that phone number, is it an answering machine? How does that work?
I believe it is somebody is on that number and they will respond to your request.
Great. And I think the Tax-Aide site, you'll need to put in your zip code, and that will help take you to the closest Tax-Aide site, correct?
Yeah.
Great. So let's talk a little bit about the types of Tax-Aide services that are offered, and what types of services do Tax-Aide volunteers offer for tax preparation?
Okay, sure. Well, as you can imagine, we're trained on a wide variety of forms and schedules, but we're not trained on all of them. So if you have a complicated return, we may not be able to assist you. Where our volunteers are covered by the Volunteer Protection Act, and that requires us to prepare only those returns for which we are considered in scope for us as defined by the IRS and the AARP Foundation. So basically, we would do returns that have wage income, retirement income, investment income, gambling winnings, and in some small businesses, and in Oklahoma, oil and gas royalties.
So if you've hit the jackpot with the lottery, you'll help them.
Yeah. Well, I'm just envious.
That's great. Let's we know taxes are complicated, so it's great to have this assistance available. So talk to us a little bit about what AARP Tax-Aide is unable to help with.
Okay. If you have a complicated return, like I said, we may be unable to help you. We can't do small businesses that have employees, that have inventory, or that show a loss. We can't do farm income. We can't do rental income. And we can't do alternate minimum taxes. And since we're only trained for the state of Oklahoma, we can't do state income taxes for other states.
Great. Thank you for pointing that out. Great. That's wonderful. We know this is just a short list of the key services. For a full list of what kind of returns can and cannot be prepared by Tax-Aide, we are putting a link in the comments below for more information and a complete list. So for folks who are watching, there's a link for you to get a little more detail on that as well. Great. So Johanna, we talked a little bit about what Tax-Aide cannot do. So let folks know about what documents they need to bring with them for Tax-Aide to prepare their taxes.
Well, they're going to feel like we're going to ask them for everything but the kitchen sink, but we need them all. So every taxpayer has to present with a government-approved photo ID for every taxpayer that's listed on the return. They have to have proof of Social Security number for every individual listed on the return. If they expect a refund or they want a debit due paid directly to the IRS, they need to bring their banking information. It helps us tremendously if they bring the previous year's return. Frequently, we can find things that they have forgotten that they haven't gotten that document for this year. So we can prevent errors in that way. Then, of course, we need them to bring all their income documents, the Form 1095A if they bought insurance through the healthcare marketplace. And documents for credits and adjustments such as the child care credit, the education credit, or if they have the student loan interest. And of course, if they've suffered identity theft, they need to bring that letter from the IRS giving us that identity protection PIN.
Great.
Also, Sean, this year, in this year only, even if they don't itemize, the government is allowing up to a $300 charitable cash donations to be reduced, to be deducted from their taxable income. So they need to bring that information as well.
Thank you for that nugget as well. and we really appreciate this overview. We know tax documentation sometimes includes extensive forms of documentation, so we're dropping a link in the comments below with a more detailed list of tax forms and documentation included for your reference. So thanks for dropping that in. Joanna, let's go to the 8th question. We're rolling around really quickly, and we'll be happy to take folks' questions online in just a few moments. We talked a little bit about the emergency that's been placed that extended tax filings until June 15th this year. But is there also an extension of filing taxes this year individually?
I'm sorry, I don't think I understand your question, but yes, the tax filing deadline has been extended to June 15th for all the individuals in Oklahoma. And we will be open, those sites will be open to mirror that season, as long as the host site will allow us to be there, and we have volunteers that are willing to man the site. So we'll be able to help more people than we were anticipating helping by the end of April 15th, because going to the appointment only system has really decreased the amount of people we can process in any one site.
Great. But regardless of extensions from the IRS, an individual also can file an extension.
Well, yes, they can.
Right. Correct. Thank you. Hey, wanted to talk a little bit about, 2020. There's a lot of folks who received CARES Act stimulus payments, PPP, additional unemployment. So that could reflect, and you need to know that for the 2021 taxes. You want to talk a little bit about what's taxable and what's not, and what you need?
Sean, it's very important that people realize that those payments are not taxable income, and their taxes they won't owe taxes on them, nor will it decrease their refund or increase the amount they owe when they file their taxes. But it's important that they let us know what payments they did receive, because believe it or not, we're finding that there are cases where one spouse will have received a stimulus payment, but the other spouse didn't. So filing that tax return will notify the government, and they may receive additional stimulus payments.
Great. Thank you for that. For sure. The Tax-Aide program relies on volunteers tremendously, and it's a valuable service that you all provide. How has the pandemic impacted the volunteerism? If individuals are interested in volunteering, how could they get involved?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, as you can imagine, most of our volunteers are of the senior variety and of that vulnerable age group. So I would estimate that around 20% of our volunteers, of our returning volunteers, but for safety concerns, chose to sit out this year. And we had host sites that weren't able to host us this year because of the pandemic. But that being said, I am amazed at the number of wonderful volunteers that have stepped forward to continue the program. And while we discouraged new volunteers this year due to the unknowns of the pandemic, we're looking forward to hearing from a host of new people interested in joining the most awesome group of volunteers that comprise this program. We're looking for compassionate and friendly individuals to join us. We provide training and mentoring and support, and we have a variety of volunteer opportunities for anyone interested. They can be a preparer, they can be a client facilitator, a technology coordinator, a communications coordinator. We can have leadership positions available. And of course, if they speak a second language, we urgently need them. Thank you.
Well, we rely on the volunteers tremendously. And again, the hundreds of volunteers that do this every year are doing so much help for a lot of people. And a lot of people call desperately concerned about their taxes. And this is a valuable service provided. It's free and it's volunteer ran. It's an awesome program. Hey, we did get a question in the chat about what steps or what do people need to do if someone has deceased in filing tax returns for them?
If it's in the case of a spouse, if your spouse died during the current year, that current tax year, you just need to bring a death certificate, and we will file that return, that final joint return without any problem.
Great. That's awesome. Thank you for that. Again, it's so important for folks who need the service to let us know. We've got an 800 number. It's 888-227-7669. And that's the phone number to call to get an appointment. You can also visit the website at taxaide.aarpfoundation.org. That phone number again is 888-227-7669. Well, Johanna, thank you so much for all this helpful information. And thank you for all the volunteers for the valuable service you're providing. We appreciate you so very much. Any final comments you would like to provide?
Just want to thank you for for giving me the opportunity to share and talk about a program that I believe in so passionately. Thank you.
And you've been doing it for a long time, and we really appreciate you. And folks, thanks for watching today for this Q&A session. Hopefully it's been helpful. Again, as a reminder, AARP Tax-Aide services and website you can find by visiting taxaide.aarpfoundation.org or call us toll free at 888-227-7669 for more information. You can also keep up with us, what's happening with AARP Oklahoma, by visiting our website at aarp.org/OK. Have a great day. Thank goodness it's Friday. God bless you. Stay safe and healthy. Thank you for joining us.